Hey there. So I have a little bit more that I'd like to share with you that I didn't get a chance to cover in my last video on how to sing Get You by Daniel Caesar. If you haven't watched that video yet, make sure you check it out. But I want to talk about something I had mentioned in there, which is about singing slightly out of tune and kind of sliding around the pitches and singing behind the beat, things that I would consider to be breaking the rules of music. And I just wanted to expand on that a little bit more because there is a time and a place for breaking the rules of music, but it only comes once you already know what the rules are. You have to know what the rules are already and how they sit in place very firmly, so that way you know when you're deviating from them. And it's a choice when you deviate from them, and you deviate from them with what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to go too far. Like, you have to have some moderation when you try to deviate from the rules, so to speak. And almost anyone who's deviating from the rules of music should, more than likely, they know what the rules are in the first place. So one of the things that I had mentioned, like I said, is about pitch bends. And normally I would say, you want to sing in tune and you want to be as harmonious as possible. But there is a time and a place for singing slightly out of tune, because when you sing slightly out of tune, it conveys a certain emotion. It conveys a certain type of disharmony, a certain type of angst, a certain type of conflicting emotions inside of you. Like, you can't make up your mind whether to go left or right. And it's a very unique character that it brings out, but it must be done tastefully. So I'll give you an example of something where I would intentionally sing out of tune. So listen, and I would destroy some musical quality. So if I do something like my funny Valentine, sweet coming Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. So, something like that. Especially those first 3 or 4 lines, they were out of tune. They were out of tune, but still within measure of the music, so to speak, in the sense that there was still phrasing going on. Even though I'm singing out of tune, it's still being phrased. You heard a lot of that was done on one breath. And there's still this attention to kind of how the words flow together and the meaning that they convey. They're still following, even though this was a loose tempo, like kind of a free tempo, it's still following some of the tempo of the music. So I'm still following everything else that would normally be in place for music. It's just I'm not singing it as my funny Valentine, sweet coming Valentine. I'm just not singing it like that, where that will be the rule. Like, you should be able to do that first and know how to do that securely, and then you break that and then go, my funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine. That conveys an entirely different emotion. And in my opinion, it's appropriate for this song because this song is kind of like a to me, the way I see it, is it's kind of this mixed emotion song. Like, it's not happy. It's like happiness mixed with some sort of I guess you could say a little bit of depression or self-pity or something like that. You have this weird confluence of emotions, and it's like you're stuck in the middle of them. And and I like the way that kind of approach to the song brings out a certain texture and emotion that we could say from an interpretative standpoint. But like I said, there is a time and a place for all of these things as long as you know how to use them. And that's part of your growth as an artist, is learning when these things are appropriate, learning to what degree it is appropriate, and never losing your way to the point where you can't get back to the base, rule of how it should be done. So I compare this to seasonings. When you have a meal that you're preparing and you have the various seasonings that you can add to it, that's kind of like what this is when you deviate from the rules. A very good chef knows how to use those seasonings in an interesting way. They can use seasonings that would normally otherwise be horrendous, but put it in just the right amount to make you go, there's something different about this. It's an unexpected taste, but I really enjoy it. But you go too much, and then it's like, no, this is horrible. So it's a very delicate balance that you have to learn over time. What I find very interesting about this slightly out of tune thing is, if you look at someone like Nina Simone, she was a very powerful interpreter of music. If you look at something like her cover of Strange Fruit, which in my opinion is even better than Billie Holiday. She managed to surpass Billie Holiday in that song and express something very deep and very profound in there. She sings very similar to what I was doing, where you have these out of tune notes, these very dissonant notes. They sound very clashing and very jarring and almost grating at times, and that's exactly what the idea that she wanted to convey in that song is, her sense of disgust from the material of that song. And you can hear it in every single word she sings as she goes through that piece of music. And that's what I mean when there's a time and a place for all of this, because if she sang that musically correctly, it would not convey that same idea. So for those of you who haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave a link to it somewhere, probably in the description, maybe also on the video itself. But I hope that gives you some ideas of how to go about playing with music. Always learn the rules first. Learn how to sing in tune, learn how to sing to the beat properly, and learn how to use your dynamics correctly first to have your music flow in a harmonious way. And then if you want to express something different, then you can deviate from that a bit. Okay? So, hope that was helpful.